Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Rebel Rewind. My name's Christopher. Eric will be here any moment, running a little bit late. Had a little bit of miscommunication here this week, but he will be here shortly. But until Eric gets here, let's chat about because there was a neat little trailer for Andor season two. Not just a trailer for Andor season two, but it was a kind of a glimpse of all the Disney Plus series and shows that were coming out in 2025, and it includes some new footage from Skeleton Crew, and then it includes some clips from Andor season two, which is cool. So I'm really excited about that. Let me share the screen here because we could take a look at the article. We'll jump into this article first. This is just a extra article this week, just because this did get posted today. So I will share my screen here. And this is on StarWarsNewsNet.com. So, new Andor season 2 and Skeleton Crew footage in Disney Plus trailer. So, a new trailer has been released for major Disney Plus series arriving in the next year, and it's given us a sneak peek at Andor season 2 and Skeleton Crew. So, we can take a look at this. I did watch it earlier, but it's like the clips are so quick in this thing that it's like a blink and you'll miss it. But we do get looks at Andor. There's K2SO in this little sneak peek trailer. I think Bix was in there, so it does show some characters there. But the article says there's an early glimpse of Andor at about 10 seconds in, which has Cassian telling someone, "Let's make it worth it." On 21 seconds, we see the kids in the Skeleton Crew open a door to the old ship covered in vines and other flora. This might have been included in earlier trailers, while Wim tells his friends this could be a real adventure. We then see the ship taking off and flying into a space station, which is likely the pirate port where they find Jod Nanawood. Get rid of this ad here. And this one here. Here's a couple images from the trailer itself. So a new image of Cassian looking a little beat up. The image of the from the Skeleton Crew with the ship flying into the spaceport there that we saw in the most recent trailer. I don't know if it's the same clip. We also see the Shistavin firing twin blaster pistols along with Vane, Jawas, and other footage of a ship under fire on a desert planet, and the kids looking up at something in terrified manner. Jod is also yelling about pirates in another shot. I believe this shot here was from the most recent trailer, I think, with that Wolfman character. We got Jod. I believe this was in the most recent trailer as well, where he's telling them that there's pirates coming. It's another minute before there's more Star Wars content. On 1 minute 24 seconds with Andor season 2 reappears. We see stormtroopers descending steps into a square. It looks like Ferrix, and a woman cries, "Is there no one who can help us?" That's followed by Bix telling someone that we need a pilot. Right before we see Cassian stealing a TIE interceptor right out of an Imperial hangar bay, as Luthen's voice plays over the top of it, accusing Cassian that you're thinking like a thief. The next shot is Cassian responding angrily as he claims, "I'm thinking like a soldier." That shot is followed by Cassian shooting at someone in the same city we saw in the opening shot and appearing to cause an explosion. And then we return to Luthen's face as he tells Cassian, "Think like a leader." We then see Cassian striding through what looks a lot like the Rebel base on Yavin 4, and a separate shot of Bix and others looking back at something. The footage ends with Cassian flying a TIE interceptor out of the hangar and a glimpse of A KX security droid on Coruscant. Could this finally be K2SO? So here's the other images here. So here's the stormtrooper there, which looks like the short shot on what looks to be Ferrix. It does kind of look like Ferrix there. But also, you notice these pillars. These pillars are very similar to the pillars that were on Peridia, and then on what's the other planet there, where they use the star map to get the coordinates to go to Peridia. Like, it's similar pillars. Like, are they is there some sort of pillars that have that kind of same connection to Peridia, to the other galaxy, possibly? That's interesting. We got Andor inside the TIE Interceptor. And the shot of the TIE Interceptor with a hole in the, I'm guessing what's the hull of the Star Destroyer or whatever building this is being housed in. Here's a shot of Bix and a couple other characters. We got Cassian walking. Yeah, it does look like Yavin 4, and he's kind of looking more like Rogue One Cassian Andor. And then, yeah, possibly K2SO. Possibly. So that's exciting stuff. And then, Eric, what's going on, man?
What's up? Sorry for getting here so late.
All good, brother. Yeah, so a little bit of miscommunication between the two of us this week.
Yeah.
We were working out, trying to get a guest on, and hopefully he'll be able to make it next week. We're going to be shifting to Wednesday next week to try and have him on. So hopefully we can have him on. But
yep.
How was your week?
I'm in
weekend, right?
I'm sorry.
We had quite a bit of news over the weekend with D23 Brazil.
Yes. Got some epic images, and I was looking at some of the images that you were just showing right now. I think they said there was a confirmation that was K2SO. So, but yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Some exciting stuff.
Pretty cool.
Amazing news. So
yeah. I'll bring up my screen again. Do you want to watch? Did you watch that trailer? The little like Disney Plus promo for all the shows that they're showing?
I don't think I did.
Oh, yeah. Should we watch it once?
Yeah, let's watch it. Okay.
Let's say hello to people in the chat here. So Sci-Fi's in the chat. He said Andor looks amazing. Hoping SC can move the universe along. Yeah, right? Skeleton Crew. Hopefully. I mean, Skeleton Crew looks cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let me share my screen and then we'll watch that little trailer. Yeah, we were just ending on the image of K2, which it's got to be K2, right?
Yeah.
Or at least maybe it's K2 before he reprogrammed him, possibly. But yeah, that does look like Yavin 4. It looks like the base because you got the temple there. Yep. So, yeah, let's watch this before we jump into all our other articles here. I think it's only like a minute or so long, so let's watch this.
I got something coming up, something kind of big.
It just feels like the one.
Yeah, so there's Cass. There's a clip from Andor.
Excellent.
Sometimes your work family is closer to you than your family.
This could be a real adventure.
A crew of murderous pirates is coming.
I found the president lying next to his bed.
Did you kill him?
I have one rule. Stay out of the basement. This ship collected specimens on faraway moon. Watched us.
I want to build something iconic.
How far are you willing to go? Get what you want. By the look of it, you've come up in the world. I wonder if your darker half would agree.
What's up? It's Russ Holiday, former quarterback. But I'm not done with football.
You get to decide who you are.
My name's Chad Powers.
Your family was fostering a little girl. We're supposed to be on the same team.
Do that. We are on the same team.
She's not who she says she is. Is there no one who can help us? We need a pilot.
You're thinking like a thief.
I'm thinking like a soldier.
Think like a leader.
Something big is about to happen. Let's bring them home.
All of this world, everything has changed.
Yeah, so there's that. That's cool.
Yep.
Thoughts?
Yeah, no, well, that alien Earth looks pretty great. I just saw
Yeah.
a glimpse of it. It looks pretty good.
Yeah.
But no, they have a lot of them. So that last image we got, was that from Rogue One? What's the guy's name? The Asian character that has a staff. On the last portion of that video of the ending. Or who was that?
It might have been a different character from a different
like right there at the end. After right.
Yeah, who is that?
Oh no, who is that?
I don't know if it's anyone's star. It could be from a different show.
Yeah, it looks like a different show because of the video was a little bit smaller screen, but
It might be from a different show, but it kind of has the same haircut as Jod. But
yeah,
I don't think so.
It does kind of look like Jod a little bit.
Yeah, but very cool, very exciting that we got our first little clips of Andor season 2, and the series is supposed to jump ahead like a year every 4 episodes.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be doing
every 3 episodes or whatever. It's supposed to jump ahead. Yeah. So in total, it'll jump ahead like 4 years. So that's pretty cool.
Yep.
So
yeah, we got some.
Yeah,
this is like one of those things I guess worth analyzing. Like, slow the video down and take it in and Alien Earth.
So I said Alien Earth. Yeah. Whoa. Yeah. Yeah. Looks cool. But with that out of the way, let's jump into the rest of our stories here. So first, some news about a new Star Wars trilogy that was announced. I think this was late last week. It was, November 7th. So I think this was Friday, if I'm not mistaken, or Thursday. So Star Wars trilogy deal, Lucasfilm taps Simon Kinberg to write and produce. So exclusive, Lucasfilm has closed the deal with Simon Kinberg to develop a trilogy for Star Wars films. Kinberg will write the trio and produce them with Lucasfilm chief Kathleen Kennedy. So some people are saying that this will comprise of episodes 10 to 12 of the Skywalker saga that began with George Lucas's 1977 film, along with Steven Spielberg's Jaws that reshaped the global blockbuster game. Insiders disputed this and said that Kinberg will continue that storyline, saying this will begin a new saga and sit alongside the rest of the Star Wars projects with James Mangold, Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, Taika Waititi, and Donald Glover's projects. So Lucasfilm hasn't officially said anything yet. So Kinberg has worked with Lucasfilm in co-creating with Dave Filoni and Carrie Beck the Emmy-nominated animated series Star Wars Rebels, and he was also a consultant on Episode 7, The Force Awakens, with J.J. Abrams. And he's done a lot of stuff too. So like he's worked on the X-Men films, the Logan spinoff, which that connects him to James Mangold. He worked on the Deadpool films and most recently the Deadpool and Wolverine movie. He worked with Ridley Scott on The Martian. He worked on scripts such as Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and he co-wrote the Sherlock Holmes film, which started that franchise with Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law. So he's got connections to Jude Law. And then he also produced the Kenneth Branagh Agatha Christie film that started with Murder on the Orient Express, which I think that movie had Daisy Ridley in it. So like he's got all these connections to people who have worked on Star Wars in various ways, and he's worked on Star Wars himself. He's worked with Dave Filoni. So before I get into my thoughts, what are your thoughts on this news?
Oh man, there's a lot to speculate here because even though nothing's set in concrete, like nobody officially said anything, and it just was kind of like leaked out. But they did say something about it being 10, 11, and 12. But what I'm assuming is because they're going to do the Rey movie, it's going to be a standalone movie. I don't think this movie's going to be directly associated with that movie. I'm thinking there's going to be a time jump after the Rey movie and possibly become like a movie of maybe one of her students, one of the students that she, and then it'll be that kind of a continuation from that. But I don't think it's going to be directly from her and her character, because I think they're going to be spending so much money on this, and they know that the sequel trilogies didn't do very well at all. They spent a lot of money on it, and so what I'm thinking is they're going to continue maybe 10, 11, 12, but it not being connected to the Skywalker's saga, or maybe it'll be like a one of her students it's gonna be following, maybe his or her story.
Yeah, that's a nice prediction. How do you feel about Simon Kinberg writing and producing all three films?
Everything is
someone who's has experience with some blockbuster franchises, and he also has experience writing for Star Wars, right? Star Wars Rebels. So how do you feel about? Do you think that's a good choice? And
I think that's a very good choice.
How do you feel about somebody? Yeah. So that was my first thought. Like, someone who has this experience is good, and someone to write the whole trilogy rather than having one director writer on the next film, and then it was supposed to be a third director and writer, but it went back to J.J. Abrams for episode 9, which, like, parts of that trilogy, it felt like it kind of did a bit of back and forth, especially when it got to episode 9. It kind of tried to correct everything fans didn't like about both the previous two films. So
exactly.
It should be good to have one writer writing the whole story,
one vision.
One vision, and then it doesn't matter if you have different directors, because that's how George did it, right? He wrote the whole story, and there were different directors, and it worked out fine. So but I'm kind of thinking the opposite. I kind of think because the Charmin Obaid-Chinoy Rey movie lost their writer Stephen Knight. We reported that, or we talked about it I think a couple weeks ago now. I think this is kind of turning into a trilogy, and that this is where they brought Simon Kinberg in to write the whole trilogy. So I think this is starting with like the Charmin Obaid-Chinoy directed film, and it's written by Simon Kinberg, and then maybe the next two films will have two different directors, because Charmin Obaid-Chinoy doesn't have any experience with Star Wars that I know of. She did she worked on Ms. Marvel, but she really hasn't done any like Star Wars. She doesn't have experience with it, right? So why not bring in Simon Kinberg and write the story, and she can still direct it. So I think it is. I think it is the trilogy. I think it's the Rey movie that got turned into a trilogy, or maybe it was a trilogy to begin with the whole time. Maybe they were planning it the whole time. That's my thoughts on it. But either way, it's exciting.
Yeah,
because we're getting like a trilogy. We're getting also the Mandalorian and Grogu, which I'm speculating could be the beginning of another trilogy, and then the Dawn of the Jedi James Mangold one, which I also think is a start of a third trilogy. So we could be getting like 3 trilogies, as well as there's a Sean Levy Star Wars movie that's supposed to be in the works. So
That's
either
the
way,
fun
we're
thing about
getting
it.
a bunch of content.
We get to speculate. That's the fun thing about it.
And either way, we'll be getting more content, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
But I think Simon Kinberg's a great choice.
Oh yes, I think he's. I mean, with his background and everything, and he knows
Yeah,
how to write good stories.
yeah.
And
He's
him
worked on
having
Star
that
Wars,
background
and he
in Star
knows
Wars,
he knows how to work on these franchises, right? The X-Men franchise, Sherlock Holmes, and stuff like that. So very
Yeah,
cool.
no.
Sci-Fi said meant to have the range troopers from Solo. Oh, he must be talking about that clip of the trailer that we watched, possibly. Bruce Irwin said, first season of Andor was so boring, I didn't even finish it. Definitely not wasting my time on a second season, especially with Disney's track record lately.
I enjoy it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Bruce, both Eric and I both enjoyed Andor. I know it wasn't everyone's cup of tea. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like with all the shows and stuff that they're producing, not everyone's going to like everything, and that's fine, right? Like, you didn't really like The Acolyte. I enjoyed The Acolyte. I think you love the Boba Fett. That's pretty fair to say because he's your favorite character. I thought Book of Boba was probably the worst Star Wars series, in my opinion. Just you know what? I really thought Boba Fett was going to be more badass. That's my thing, right?
Yeah.
And he had his moments, but I thought like the whole series was going to be more of him like kicking some ass, you know?
Yeah, they made him more of a politician. So
yeah, exactly. And that's fine. Like some people did enjoy that. Yeah,
more on the routes of Lando, but yeah, I enjoyed it. I really did.
Yeah. But I'm not saying I hated it. Like I still enjoyed watching all of these shows, even if I didn't like some more than others. So Sci-Fi said good choice, but I'm overwhelmed with all of this news, just waiting for what's coming out soon. Yeah, exactly, right? So Skeleton Crew and then Andor season 2, and then Mando and Grogu, the movie will be coming out in May 2026.
Yep.
So yeah. Exciting stuff either way.
Always exciting. We get new stories. So yeah, definitely.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm not sure we're gonna go ahead and start with my first story for this evening.
Yeah.
All right. So why George Lucas chose Simon Kinberg to write and produce the next Star Wars trilogy explained. So here are some select projects that Kinberg's been working on. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, X-Men. He was a writer for X-Men, The Last Stand, writer for Jumper. That's a very good show. I mean, movie. Jumper is a great one.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was with and that was also with Hayden, right? So another Star Wars connection too, right? He's worked with these actors.
Yep. Writer and producer of X-Men: Days of Future Past, co-creator and writer of Star Wars Rebels, producer of The Martian, Deadpool, producer of Logan, writer and producer of X-Men: Dark Phoenix. But I mean, there were some good ones, and there were some not great ones, but still, he has a good repertoire on stuff, interesting and great shows that he's been associated with in writing.
Yeah.
So he's also used to working with big studios and huge franchises. He was the co-creator of Star Wars Rebels, which we already talked about, and working and writing an executive producer of one of the Star Wars most popular TV shows. I love Rebels. So yeah, it was a great show and well written. So Lucasfilm actually brought him on board as a creative consultant for Star Wars: A Force Awakens, and also received special thank you in the credits for Rogue One, a Star Wars story as well. So Lucasfilm's decision to hire a single person to effectively oversee this trilogy is a positive one, and I totally agree with that. Right man for the for the job.
Yeah.
So
I agree. Because they kind of they tried whatever they did with the sequel trilogy with the 3 different directors writing their own movies, and like I said, like my issue was with between episode 8 and 9, it kind of got a little back and forth there. Like I think episode 7 flows into episode 8 really nicely, but when you get to episode 9, they tried to backtrack and change stuff back, and
So
it could have been a lot better. I still enjoyed it. Like I still enjoyed the the sequel trilogy. But it could have been a lot better if it was just like one person writing the whole story.
Right on. And
Yeah.
The Force Awakens was special. We went to go watch in the theaters, and it felt so much like Star Wars, of course, because they borrowed so much from it. But then we got, we got 8 and 9, and it just keeps all falling apart, like undoing what the other director was doing, and that was just so bad.
Yeah, it's just it's tough because like fans are always like, they got to get away from the Skywalker saga, and then when they get away from the Skywalker saga, like they did the Acolyte, they didn't like it, so they have to go back to the Skywalkers, right, and give us something familiar that's connected to stuff. That should be a topic of one of our episodes. One week we'll just chat about the if we think stuff should be connected to the Skywalkers or not going forward. That could be a good discussion for one of our episodes.
Yeah, most definitely. Heated one. No, just kidding.
Kidding. Yeah, it could be. Lines will be drawn in the sands. Sci-Fi said so true regarding writers. Why have a room full of 30 focus group people when we need to remember George Lucas did it on his own with no interventions? Yep. Right. So and yes, Simon seems like he's a perfect choice for it, which is cool. Yeah. So next up, as we saw, well, I guess we didn't see in that Disney Plus trailer, it didn't show the exact date for Andor, or it might have in the small print, but Andor officially got a release date at D23. So Andor is set to release on April 22nd, 2025. This is out from the Bespin Bulletin, and then they showed people at D23 Brazil an image from the upcoming season of Andor. So
clean. Yeah, I mean, his drip, it's like
yeah. So the image looks. I think there's a better image down below. We'll look at that one. So at D23 Brazil on the weekend, they showed off stuff from The Mandalorian and Grogu. They showed behind the scenes from Andor. Skeleton Crew, they showed some stuff. User or ex-user that Weird Aldo shared an image of on social media platform of Andor season 1. Of an Andor season 1 poster in the Disney Plus mobile app that revealed the second and final season of the series due to release on April 22nd, 2025. So this was like a banner on Disney Plus, and I guess this was shown before they announced it at D23. Other users attempted to see this poster in the app themselves, but it seems to be US specific, so I didn't get to see that. I know our friend Tony from Star Wars Sith posted it in our little group chat that we're part of. So Andor Season 2 was expected to be present at the event and has a promotional image on D23 Brazil floor, which sees Cassian Andor on Yavin 4. Disney has shown various looks at Andor for those in attendance at conventions such as D23 earlier this year and Star Wars Celebration last year. So fans attending D23 Brazil this past weekend were expecting or hoping to get a glimpse themselves, which they did. So here's that image. This is a full image there, and he's wearing like the trench coat. You can see he's on Yavin 4 with the vines and the temple looking structure behind him. Looks cool. This is probably closer, like probably in one of the later episodes, I'm assuming, because of all the time jumps. So I can't imagine he would be on Yavin 4 very early in the episode. It would probably be in the last little time jump there, right? I would imagine.
I wonder if there's stolen credits. I wonder if those it's containers of stolen credits back there.
Oh yeah, maybe. Could be. So it's unclear if Lucasfilm will debut whatever trailer for the second and final season online after it's shown to D23 crowd. So we still have yet to see. I mean, I guess we did get that little glimpse in the Disney Plus trailer with all the shows, so that's cool. But yeah, official date is April 22nd, 2025, which is a couple days after Star Wars Celebration. So I actually did a video on my own channel saying that there's probably like a 90% chance they're going to show the people at Star Wars Celebration Japan like the first 2 episodes of Andor when they're in attendance there, right? And like, Andor is going to be a big thing at Celebration this year, which is going to be cool. So it's cool for anyone going to Celebration. What do you think? April 22nd officially?
Yeah, early. I like that.
Yeah, because
Early in
I think
2025.
they were saying it was supposed to be like the second quarter of 2025, which April 22nd is indeed in the second quarter of 2025. So yeah,
that's a good speculation also because like they did the Acolyte, they showed to run 2 episodes, so that's a very good possibility that they do that.
So very cool.
Yeah, but that little teaser of all the shows, it's hyping me more. I want to see more.
Right?
Yep.
Sci-Fi said a lot of the aliens, vehicles, special effects, music from the sequels roped me in, but by the time episode 9 came out, I just went, "What WTF?" Yeah. I mean, I still enjoyed it. Like, don't get me wrong, I still enjoyed it. Episode 7 and 8 were my favorite 2 of the trilogy. Episode 9, just like I said, they tried to like course correct. They tried to please everyone who didn't like The Last Jedi, and then everyone who didn't like Episode 7 and thought it was too safe. And they tried to please everyone and retract stuff from both movies, and they tried to squish like too much stuff into that movie. Like they could have went like episode 9 and 10, like split episode 9 into 2 movies and made it a little better. So in my opinion. But yeah, April 22nd. So not too far off. A little ways away, but
but
the grand scheme of things, yeah.
So we're already November going into December. So
yeah,
a few more months after that.
Right.
Yep. All right. So Skeleton Crew, that's my next story for this evening. Skeleton Crew taps Mike Giacchino, son of Rogue One's composer, for its music. It looks like the music of Star Wars Skeleton Crew is staying in the family of a familiar face. It was revealed today actually yesterday, I believe, StarWars.com, that the composer from the upcoming series will be Mike Giacchino. If that name sounds familiar, he's the son of Michael Giacchino, who has worked on a plethora of beloved films under Disney, Marvel, and Pixar umbrella, like The Incredibles, Up, and multiple films of the Marvel Cinema Universe. So Michael Giacchino also composed a few things called Rogue One, Star Wars Story, which is great music also. And Mick composed the smash hit Max series, The Penguin also, which just wrapped up. So it's kind of like that, kind of like dreary, kind of dark music, but I mean, he's good at, evidently he doesn't fall far from his father's skills. So it's pretty cool they're going to keep it within the family.
That's very cool.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's very cool because like the music in Rogue One that Michael Giacchino did, like that was a great score. Like it felt very Star Wars. So I'm excited to see what his son Mick can do for Skeleton Crew, which we'll find out in a few weeks, right?
Yep. So I thought it would be
that's cool. That's cool that they decided to go with the Rogue One composer's son, right? So yeah, awesome.
And more projects his way. He does really good on this. So
right, very cool. So next, I have a little bit more news on the new Star Wars trilogy, the Simon Kinberg trilogy. So this one is saying, this is from the Bespin Bulletin. This one is saying that Daisy Ridley's Rey is reportedly or will reportedly be like an Obi-Wan Kenobi type role in that new trilogy, which, in my opinion, this kind of further backs up that the Rey movie, the Charmin Obey Chinoy movie, is just like the start of this trilogy, in my opinion. So yesterday, or referring to the 7th, because this was posted on the 8th. So it was a big news day for Star Wars on the 7th. A little bit of a confusing one to say the least, but Deadline broke news on the 7th that Simon Kinberg, the writer behind the last 3 X-Men movies, Days of Future Past, Apocalypse, Dark Phoenix, and the 2015 Fantastic Four movie, and co-creator of Star Wars Rebels, was developing a new Star Wars trilogy for Lucasfilm, which he will be writing and producing all 3 of the movies himself, and producing alongside Kathleen Kennedy. And then the Hollywood Reporter reported this on November 8th. They followed up by confirming that Kinberg was writing Star Wars trilogy and that the trilogy was not part of the Skywalker saga, but they believe the trilogy was not episodes 10 to 12. However, they did mention that the trilogy would focus on a new story and new characters, but that some familiar faces would, from the Skywalker saga, could pop up into these films. So there was no mention by either outlet, either the Hollywood Reporter or Deadline, to what familiar faces would appear. But the natural assumption by many fans was Daisy Ridley's Rey Skywalker. In 2023, it was announced that Charmin Obey Chinoy will be directing the Rey movie, with Daisy Ridley coming back as Rey and building the new Jedi Order. And a lot of fans felt that if this Kinberg trilogy would feature a familiar face, Ridley's Rey, in a role somewhat similar to Obi-Wan Kenobi, or a post Return of the Jedi Luke Skywalker, so like a mentor figure, it would be a natural fit with new leads taking the helm, with Daisy Ridley being kind of the veteran actor and Rey being the veteran character. So, I mean, that information kind of says episodes 10 to 12 to me, just because that's what they did in every single trilogy. So in the prequels, you had like the mentor characters of Qui-Gon and then Obi-Wan after Qui-Gon died.
Mm-hmm.
And then Obi-Wan continued to mentor the next generation in episodes 4 to 6 with where he mentored Luke. Luke and Han got older. They mentored Rey in the sequel trilogy. So it kind of makes sense for Rey to be the mentor figure in this next trilogy. And it just kind of seems like it's an episode 10 to 12 thing. But then this article is also saying that a reliable industry insider, Jeff Snyder, aka the Insnider, has shared some details that he heard regarding the Kinberg trilogy via his newsletter. So Snyder shared that he believes that the Kinberg trilogy will be positioned as episodes 10, 11, and 12, and that the trilogy would focus on characters and a new story. The one thing everybody can agree on is that the familiar face is that of Rey Skywalker. Snyder revealed that he has heard that Daisy Ridley is slated to appear in the Kinberg trilogy as Rey Skywalker, and that Rey will be positioned as the Obi-Wan of the new trilogy, which, again, it's all falling into place for this to be episodes 10 to 12. And in my opinion, I think, like I said, I think it's starting with the Charmin Obey Chinoy movie. That'll be the first movie in this trilogy because they did lose their writer, so maybe Simon Kinberg stepped in and now he's going writing the whole trilogy. It's a lot of information here, but what are your thoughts on this? What do you think?
I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. I think that Rey standalone movie is going to be that her movie, and maybe perhaps she'll be dead at the end of the movie, and then maybe the continuation will be 10, 11, 12, and she's the Obi-Wan, she's the Force Ghost. So
that's not bad speculation. Yeah, I guess she could show up as a Force Ghost.
Yeah. So I mean, but for her to be prominently as the lead on those new movies, I don't think that's gonna happen. But like you said, it probably is that she probably will maybe it'll be episode 10 that she'll pass away. But I think she's gonna definitely, they're saying that she's gonna be the Obi-Wan Kenobi, she's gonna pass away. She has to go. And then
Yeah,
and then
just like Obi-Wan did, right? Just like Luke Skywalker did, right? They all died.
Yeah. So it'll be a new story, and I think that's where we need to go to, just something different and just away from this storyline, because it didn't. I mean, a lot of people didn't like the sequel trilogies, and if they were to continue doing this, I don't think it's gonna do the money or make the money that they want. So I think what they're gonna do is just kind of like go for it in time. Like they said, it was like what, 15 years after that Rey's gonna be. So maybe on the first episode, or she'll continue her Rey movie, the standalone Rey movie, but then maybe on episode 10, that's it for her character. But
I guess we'll have to wait.
Just continue on with some more characters, some new Jedis and
Now, do you think it's just fresh Jedi, or do you think there's someone who's related to Luke Skywalker? Do you think someone's related to a Palpatine? I don't think they're going to do it that way. I think if they're doing this, episode 10 to 12,
I think they want to do a restart.
Yeah, I think they're going to get out of the Skywalkers. Like it's still connected to the Skywalkers because, at the end of Rise of Skywalker, Rey is a Skywalker, right? Whether we like it or not, I'm good with that.
A student of a Skywalker.
Yeah, I mean, I'm good with how it ended with her being a Skywalker. And I did do my own theory video. If you guys want to check that out, you can check it out on my channel. But yeah, I think she'll be starting her new academy, and then like episodes 10 to 11, 12 will start to follow the younger Jedi that are in her academy. Maybe there's a couple standout students, and who knows, like Grogu would be older, like he'd still be alive during this time period. So we could even follow Grogu, right? So there's a lot of ways they can connect stuff to other movies and other stuff. So yeah, I'm excited for it. But I do think that it's not going to be a standalone movie. I think it's going to be just like a trilogy. I think it feels like it's too much Rey. Like, because why would you have a Rey standalone movie and then have a trilogy where Rey is also in it as well? You know what I mean? So I don't know. I could be wrong. We could get the standalone, and we could get episode 10, 11, 12 after
and she
that.
make it all the way to the end.
Yeah,
I don't think that's going to happen.
Right?
But
we'll see.
It's cool that we're getting new Star Wars and a new trilogy.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's exactly it. We're getting a new Star Wars trilogy, and when it comes out, we'll be able to judge for ourselves whether we like it or not, right? So they'll give us more stuff to talk about.
One good story. I mean, by one writer.
Yeah. So. That's the thing too. Like people didn't like the sequels because of that fact. It was all over the place, right? But one writer, he could change, what people think about the character of Rey and what people think of the sequels looking back on it after this trilogy comes out. It could change everyone's perspective on it too, right? So yeah. Very cool.
So actually, second to the last story, we have Andor season 2 gets an intriguing new subtitle as the premiere date is confirmed for next April. So Andor season 2 will indeed return to Disney Plus on April 22nd, you mentioned earlier, 2025. However, as you can see in the official revealed logo below, the series has been given Star Wars story subtitle, bringing in more in line with the 2016 Rogue One, a Star Wars story, and the Solo movie, Star Wars story. Could this moniker again be used for spin-off projects outside of the main saga? Perhaps. Andor season 2's 12 episode carrying the story of Cassian Andor and emerging Rebel Alliance over the climactic 4 years that lead to the discovery of the Death Star and the event of Rogue One. So take a closer look at the show's logo. You'll see right there a Star Wars story, which they didn't even do this for season 1, but I think it's pretty cool that they tying it into the Rogue One and some of these Star Wars stories, side stories. So I think it's pretty cool that they're doing that. And I'm not sure if he showed some of the concept art for it, but yeah, you got B2MO and
B2EMO, yeah. Shots from Skeleton Crew, stuff from the Mandalorian and Grogu. Yeah. So I mean that's cool. I wish they kept everything like that from the beginning, like when they did. I don't know if I would have wanted it to be like the Mandalorian, a Star Wars story. I don't know. For Andor, it kind of makes sense. Maybe Ahsoka. Like, do you think they'd do like second season of Ahsoka? It'll be like Ahsoka, a Star Wars story.
Yeah,
like it doesn't sound too bad. I'll keep things in line with all the like you said, the non-Skywalker like standalone stuff, right? It would kind of make sense.
Maybe the season or the season ending season for said show, if it's the Ahsoka, if we get a season 3 or something like that, a solo story. I mean the Star Wars story.
Star Wars story. Yeah. I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Sci-fi said, "Gotta go, fellas." Cheers.
All right. Thanks, Sci-fi.
And then Patrick in the chat, Poptography says, sorry so late, fellas. Hey, Patrick.
Good, man.
All good. Yeah.
Hope you're having a good day or a good evening.
I think it makes sense to have it with the Star Wars, a Star Wars story subtitle there.
No.
Yeah. Like I said, like the Mandalorian might not have sounded as good. Like, I don't know, maybe the Mandalorian, a Star Wars story.
I think because it's
a lot.
One syllable, Andor.
Yeah.
Solo, right?
Like they could do it with Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Ahsoka, a Star Wars story. Yeah. Maybe. We'll see.
It's pretty cool how they tying things up, though.
Exactly. So moving on to the next story, my final story of the evening. StarWarsNewsNet.com. So some D23 news from the weekend. So last weekend was the D23 Brazil, and they showed stuff from the Mandalorian and Grogu, Andor, and Skeleton Crew. So the image above for the new image from the Mandalorian and Grogu, courtesy of Laughing Place on Twitter, they added that Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau sent a video message from the set introducing the new footage. The film comes out May 2026, and so far is only confirmed to star Pedro Pascal and Sigourney Weaver. Zeb Orrelios is in it, and the character from Star Wars Rebels, who cameoed in Mandalorian Season 3, will also appear. Here is a description of the footage from StarWars.com. So D23 Brazil attendees saw a sizzle that captured the heart of the journey and so far, and gave fans a look at moments from the theatrical release, including Grogu and Din Djarin facing off with snowtroopers, massive Imperial AT-AT walkers in the snow, Zeb Orrelios in action, and Grogu traveling with two tiny Anzellans, which was in the leaked footage that was posted back, I think, when D23 happened, whenever that was, back in April or whatever. So before them, Lucasfilm confirmed Andor Season 2 will be coming out on April 22nd, 2025, which we talked about a little bit. They also played a teaser for the new season, which has not been made public. The promotional campaign will probably kick in after Skeleton Crew wraps up. B2EMO also walked out on stage, or I guess drove out on stage. I don't know.
Rolled.
Rolled. Yeah, there you go. Rolled. They had following concept art image there too. So this is the concept art there, which is of Coruscant. That's the Senate building, and it looks beautiful.
Yeah,
like the concept art for it. It does look beautiful. Which I think we saw Andor walking in this location, in that little the little Disney Plus trailer we watched at the beginning of our episode here. So between Andor and the Mandalorian and Grogu, the audience was also made privy to a full scene as well as a new trailer from Skeleton Crew. The series comes out on December 3rd. The following concept image was also displayed on screen for Skeleton Crew of the spaceport here. So very, very cool. Yeah, so a lot of concept art, a lot of behind the scenes stuff was all shared at the event there. So that's that image of the Rebel base there for the Mandalorian and Grogu, which is cool. Which
that's
you
where
got to
Zeb
think
was.
with. Yeah, Zeb was and Carson Teva. So you got to think like Carson Teva is going to show up in this at some point as well, right? In the movie, you would think so.
Yep.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
I love concept
because
art.
all of this stuff's getting me excited for the upcoming stuff, like Andor season 2, Skeleton Crew, Mandalorian and Grogu. Like, yeah, it's giving us. I'm excited for it all.
Yeah. As well, yeah, I love looking at concept arts, and especially like once the show is over with, they start dripping or dropping some of these concept arts or behind the scenes stuff that they didn't use, or maybe like some concept, like early concept of some of the droids and aliens and stuff like that. I love that stuff. So,
right.
It gives you kind of like a good wow. It's like the people creating this stuff are really really good at out there with the designs and things like that. Love it.
Right.
Yeah.
Very cool stuff.
Yep. So yeah, it gives me high hopes that this season's going to be. I mean, I like the last season. I like the first season, but this one's going to just blow that one out of the water.
Yeah, I think so. Like, because it's connecting all this stuff between the first season and Star Wars, Rogue One, a Star Wars story, right?
Yeah,
so
yes.
Yeah.
No.
So exciting stuff.
Exciting.
Lots of good stuff coming. So exciting.
So the last story for this evening I have is right here. So Andor, I'm convinced that Lucasfilm's new Star Wars trilogy should leave. Yeah, I did that one already. Yeah. So I'm convinced that the Lucasfilm's new Star Wars trilogy should leave the Skywalker saga behind. I think it's probably one of the stories that I kind of added at the on the second list that I sent you. But while major sources like Deadline claims that these films will indeed be episode 10, 11, and 12, others insiders claim that the trilogy will indeed mark the beginning of a new era for Star Wars that leaves the Skywalker saga behind. As a lifelong fan of, and also myself, of Star Wars, who will be in the theaters for any. Okay, sorry. So as a lifetime Star Wars fan who will be at the theaters for any project Star Wars that Lucasfilm puts out, I believe that it would be better for the franchise to move away from the Skywalker saga and develop a new Star Wars story unrelated to the films that we've seen so far. Trying to continue the Skywalker saga is a losing battle for Lucasfilm, which most contend that decades of storytelling and millions of personal and unique opinions about the franchise storyline. It would be far too easily to simply start with a new story that doesn't have the baggage of the Skywalker saga does. But I think it would be in the franchise's best interest to tell us a new story, something brand new that won't threaten our individual fans' precious views of Star Wars and could build new fans in the process. Perhaps 40 years from now, we'll be talking about that film and its impact on the new viewers' lives. So just like Star Wars did, possibly, when it did in '77. Maybe this new Star Wars story will just kind of we'll talk about this one as something like groundbreaking. So if they I kind of agree with that. So if you want to touch upon the Skywalker saga, we can always go back and do Clone Wars or kind of stories like that. and continue with Anakin. But I think this one's we have to just move past that. This the new series, the new trilogy. So I totally agree with this.
Yeah, I mean,
we can't always use that as a crutch if they want to.
yeah, and that's the thing, because they kind of ended things nicely with none of the actual Skywalkers by blood that are still alive, right? So like I feel like episodes 10 to 12 should be the last of the Skywalker saga. Like I said, like where maybe Rey, who's like kind of like an honorary Skywalker, she's trained her Jedi, her young Jedi at the Academy, and then you can branch off into these other stories following some of these newer characters, right? Like Grogu, like I said, Grogu will still be alive, so we can get some stories with Grogu. We can get other stories with some other Jedi from this new trilogy. But yeah, definitely, like it has to stop. Like Skywalker bloodline is gone now, right? So yeah, it does make sense for them to move away from that. And if that's what it takes, is just to like do an episode 10 to 12 to just kind of like finally get away from that and set up stuff for other movies, I'm cool with that.
Maybe a new threat, and and the Force have to correct it, and bring somebody that's like
right?
the Anakin character, but not associated at all. Ezra Sabine.
Yeah, Ezra and Sabine. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. It would be cool to see Anakin show up in Force Ghost form and talk to Rey in this next trilogy.
Yes,
like
we
didn't get that. We had him talking to her like at the end, but like he didn't show up in Force Ghost form, so it could happen in this trilogy.
Oh, but I mean, he was.
I would be fine with that. Right?
Yeah, he was on what planet was it? Peridea?
Peridea, yeah.
Yeah, he did kind of show up at the end as a Force Ghost, but for him to, speak with,
for him to actually show up in this next trilogy, that I'd be fine with that. I wouldn't complain. Right? Wrap up all this stuff, have Anakin show up one last time, and then finally get away from it.
Yeah. Anakin and Luke, that would be cool too.
Yeah. Have Luke show up.
Let's move past that. We love it, but like I said, we can always go into the past and do stories like within that time.
Yeah.
But for now, something else for the future stories.
Yeah, I agree. But either way, lots of stuff happening. We're going to be getting a trilogy, like at least one trilogy, possibly 3 different trilogies, and quite a bit of other content coming up. Andor season 2, Skeleton Crew coming out in like just a few short weeks here, which is cool, which I'm excited for. Exciting times to be a Star Wars fan, for sure. But I think that will wrap things up for this episode of Rebel Rewind. Next week, we will be shifting, like I said, to Wednesday to try and accommodate one of a guest coming on. I'm not going to mention which guest it is, but it should be a good time chatting with him about some Star Wars news. So come join us next week on Wednesday, and we'll talk about some more Star Wars news and rumors with our special guest. Hopefully he can make it. But that'll do it for this episode. Thanks everyone for chatting with us in the chat and taking time out of your evening to join us this evening. And we'll see everyone in the next episode.